Will playoffs confirmed with a couple of games to spare? Fair to say as players you'd all have took that at the start of the season?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, it was one of our aims to get in the playoffs. I think we can be pleased with the season that we've had as a group. Obviously, nothing's been achieved yet, but yeah, it's been a good season. I think we can be happy to get a playoff place.
You've obviously been with the club since the National League. How have you found the step up to League One this season? Has it surprised you how quickly County have adapted?
Uh, yes and no, really. Obviously, we recruited well in the summer and brought in some good quality. Um, and then the group that we already had, I think, was a group that could play higher. I sort of said at the start of the season that when I got asked about has there been much of a step up from League Two, and in terms of quality, there's obviously more quality on show, but as a team, I don't think we've obviously looked out of place at all, and definitely haven't felt that as a player.
You've still got an outside chance of automatic promotion as well. Obviously, you need other results to go your way. What's the mindset as players now going into these last two games?
I think just the same as it always is, really. Just obviously, you go into every game to win. When you're playing, you don't really think what's going on in other games. You just try and do your job to the best that you can, and then hopefully that will get you somewhere.
You're one of the longest serving players at Edgeley Park now, 4 years you've been here. Can you believe how well it's gone to be sat here potentially just a few games away from the Championship? Did you ever envisage it panning out like that?
Probably not when I first came, to be fair. Yeah, you don't as a player you don't really reflect too much and get a chance to reflect because it's so busy and you've got game after game. But like when you get asked questions like that, I suppose you sort of have to look at it and think what an achievement it's been for the club and everyone involved the last few years. Even before I came to the club, obviously getting out of National League North, getting into the National League, and then obviously winning the National League, which is it's a tough league to get out of. So I think the club can be really proud of what it's done the last few years, and obviously it's a great club to be at because it's a club that's always trying to progress. Obviously the owners always backing the staff, backing the squad. So who knows what can happen.
For you personally, obviously you had a difficult couple of years with injury. I guess one of the main aims for you would have been to stay fit. 42 appearances this season, you've certainly done that. How would you assess your personal season?
Yeah, well, you've said it really. I suppose going into this season off playing, I think I played about 23 games last season. Obviously, as a player, you want to play many more games than that. I was disappointed with how last season went, but obviously some things are out of your control in terms of injuries and stuff like that. So it was a big one for me this season to try and stay as fit as I possibly can. I've done that. I'm probably a little bit disappointed in terms of goal contributions, as probably most people would sit here and say that they always want to score more or assist more. I'm slightly disappointed that I've not assisted more goals this season. But yeah, like you say, definitely to play the amount of games I have this season was really important for me.
You joined the club under Simon, who you obviously worked with at Brighton, but it's really under Dave that your career's really took off, I suppose. What has the manager done for you in your career?
Uh, he's just given me sort of, I suppose, license and sort of more of a freedom in my game. I've always been capable of sort of running a lot and have a bit of an engine on me. And then obviously before the gaffer came in, I was sort of playing a bit deeper. Really, I was playing more of a defensive midfielder as I had done in my previous years as a younger footballer. Really, it's quite funny because I remember when I was at secondary school. Actually, the first year at secondary school, I started as a centre back playing for the school team, which I actually quite enjoyed. And then after that year, I said to the teacher, I said, "Can I play further forward, please?" And ended up sort of playing just behind the striker, which I really enjoyed. But obviously, in sort of when I was at Brighton and that, I'd never played that position. So I sort of in the back of my head always knew that I could get forward and contribute to things at the top end of the pitch, but never really had the chance. And obviously, the gaffer came in, and the system that he played obviously really suited me and played me a little bit further forward where I could go forward. And obviously, I try and do my defensive duties when I can as well. But yeah, just helped me in terms of sort of unleashing the shackles really, and obviously that it's paid off in terms of what I've been able to do for County.
Rather that than right wing back then, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And this season you've really been even further forward, almost playing as a number 10 at times. How have you found that?
Yeah, again, probably found it a little bit hard to adapt to sort of at the start of the season, because obviously I've been sort of more box to box in previous seasons for County. So you're sort of picking the ball up in areas where you've probably got less time on the ball. So yeah, found it probably a little bit hard to adapt to earlier on in the season. But as the season's gone on, obviously you get used to the patterns and the personnel that you're playing with, and sort of then once you're used to it, it becomes more second nature really.
Just coming back to this weekend then, Lincoln finishing the season really strongly, and I guess you'll know from the return game at their place what a tough challenge that'll be at the weekend.
Yeah, a good team, got a good squad to be fair. They probably argue that they've slightly underachieved this season. Obviously did a bit on them this morning and seen the record that they've got in their last 5 games. I think they're unbeaten in their last 5. So although they've got nothing to play for, obviously I never know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing at this stage of the season, because obviously it can take a bit of pressure off players, and sometimes people can play better with a little bit of pressure. So expecting a good challenge, obviously direct side. We just got to look after ourselves and see what happens.
And your home form's so good at the minute, 8 wins in the last 9 at Edgeley Park. Manager spoke a lot about the fans and the role that they can play. What is that like for players? How big a role do they have to play over the next few weeks?
Yeah, obviously massive for us. I've been here now, and in terms of when we've had big games, we've had a lot of big games the last few seasons, and the fans have helped so much. Sometimes obviously it can get a little bit flat, and obviously that's down to us as players to get the fans off their seats. But the County fans have always turned up for these big games, and hopefully they'll do that again this season.
Appreciate your time, Will. Thank you.